Bitcoin and altcoins have exploded massively. Is altcoin season starting now? And what that all actually means, we'll go through it again based on the data. I'll explain to you why Caspar, for example, made 15%, why XRP even rose by over 50%. Supra 17%, VeChain 21%, and why greed is back in the market. We will cover all of that right now in this video. But first, let us get to the 3 major news items of the week so you can fully understand why this massive increase happened. And there is one specific news item to note. The United States Treasury is doubling its buybacks of long-term bonds. So, in other words, the total buyback volume was doubled, right? From $2 to $4 billion. Plus a 30-year yield that fell to 9 basis points. Meaning lower long-term interest rates naturally support stocks and crypto. Then the second news, Trump is pushing Congress for the Clarity Act. So, in other words, there was a crypto event at the White House on August 19th, and the SEC also proposed the framework again for, let's say, August 18th. What that really means is that having clear US rules for crypto naturally helps to reduce the overall risk for companies and investors alike. Then, the next big piece of news is this. Inflows into the US Bitcoin spot ETFs are finally returning. We are seeing almost 300 million in inflows, right? Plus another 500 million on top of that. So what that means is institutional demand for crypto ETFs is returning. Those were the 3 news items and the 3 drivers of this week. Now let's go through the entire dashboard. So here we are in the dashboard. The overall market is currently still neutral, but the week is bullish. Still, as I said, I'd be careful for now, but I'll get to why later. We're looking at the fear and greed, which is currently at 66. Greed is back in the market, so how quickly that changed is extreme. Then the altcoin season index, right, still bearish because we're still in Bitcoin season at 41. Bitcoin dominance is 59.3, so it's risen. The crypto market cap has at least lost a bit again in the last few days after the huge jump upwards. Still bullish though, because it's still relatively low and the potential in the crypto market is massive. Derivatives, right? Funding rates are more in the neutral range now. Open interest is in the bullish range and liquidations are more bullish again. 95 million longs were liquidated here and 405 million shorts. So there were obviously quite a few more, but that's just in 24 hours. Otherwise, you have to be careful now. Many will probably go long again now. That means a squeeze could happen and then everything goes back down again. But I'll get to that in a moment. Then the flows into liquidity. As I said, Bitcoin ETF flows are positive, which is good. Exchange flows are looking rather negative and bearish. This means that over the last 7 days, more people have sent their Bitcoin back to an exchange. That means the chance is high that they sent them to the exchange because they want to sell, which leads to selling pressure. Stablecoin liquidity is rather bearish, and the M2 money supply liquidity, is also back to neutral. Macro data, macro winds are generally bearish, You can already see it's just a strange market. Crypto is rising now, stocks are rising, but the macro data is actually partly rather negative. Then the Central Bank of America, interest rate the same, next meeting September 16th. Chance of a cut, so that interest rates are cut lower is 68%. Well, we'll see. Moving on to the next set of news and catalysts, as I mentioned earlier, we have the FOMC meeting coming up on September 16th. Following that, we should keep a close eye on the US inflation data scheduled for September 11th. Additionally, we have Bitcoin options expiring on September 26th, and of course, the Jackson Hole speech, which is set for August 28th. Those are the key news items to watch for the time being. Before we continue, some info from my channel partner Swissborg. If you want to buy cryptocurrency in a very simple app, MyCA, regulated, based in Switzerland, and want to grab 50 euros in Bitcoin, so up to 50 euros in Bitcoin, then you can scan the code here for Swissborg. You can sign up via my link. You'll be supporting my channel and can, as I said, still get up to 50 euros in Bitcoin. So thanks for your support, and now let's go into the chart analysis. So here we are in the chart analysis for Bitcoin. We'll start as always. And well, yeah, what can I say? I think you've all seen it. We had a massive short squeeze, meaning of course that many people down here were leveraging on short positions, betting that the price would fall. You know, it really caught everyone off guard. But then the price rose, they were liquidated, and then there was an explosion. This means that the movement wasn't driven by spot demand, but rather by the broader market situation where an extremely large number of traders went short. That's why I'm also being so careful. Good, but let's look at the situation first. My 10x indicator already indicated here. Okay, a bullish trend change could happen now, because that's what the green little dot does. It indicates, okay, a possible bullish trend change could be coming now. Right after that, as I said, Bitcoin rose by 26%. So you always have to see, you know, sometimes there are only slight increases with the 10x indicator, sometimes they're extreme. And here too, a large green dot means a possible bottom formation, you know. There was a local bottom formation here. So you can see the 10x indicator did that quite well too. Yes, but personally I'd be careful now for several reasons. First we had this here, right? It's like this. It could theoretically still be that we might go up to here, but that's the stop. Honestly, I don't think so. But especially when you look down here, we're back in the overbought zone, right? Anyone who follows my channel knows this zone up here is always dangerous for me because it's a possible local top formation. If the 10x indicator forms a large red dot, that means a possible local top formation, and now there's a strong risk of correction. That's why I'd be careful right now, you know? If you don't want to wait for my videos, but want to use the 10x indicator yourself and be informed immediately when a big red dot appears, you can find it here. Just scan the code and then you can take a look at all the further information. Good, now we're moving on to the altcoins, of course. Let's first take a look at all the altcoins. Well, a similar picture, right? Small green dot, massive increase. Let's see how much the altcoins have actually risen. More than Bitcoin, of course, about 36%, but not significantly more either, right? But you can already see a dangerous zone for altcoins. Here too, we're in the overbought zone. The risk of correction is extremely high. Then Ethereum also had an extreme increase, right? Same picture here, 36%. Right, the 10x indicator was still very conservative here with the target zone, which was actually just a small green dot. Due to the short squeeze, yeah, a massive explosion. But I'd be careful here too. There is currently absolutely no reason for me personally to get into this rising danger right now. Otherwise, you are just letting yourself be guided by pure FOMO. Looking at Solana, it is a very similar picture, right? Here too we are, if you look at it, just look at that. We're extremely high up here. When was the last time we were this high up? That was somewhere around here, right? Look, what happened last time? Massive crash. So as I said, I'd be careful. Right now a correction is going to come. Maybe it'll go up a bit more and then the correction will come, but the chance is high that it will. XRP. XRP has risen extremely. I also shared those charts in my 10x Insider Mitgliedschaft, showing we had a big green dot, which suggests a possible bottom formation, right? Local bottom formation. We had that happen too, right? A massive sudden explosion. If you really take a moment to look at that, 70% of it from then on, right? It's already huge. It's already huge, right? We even rose above this, above everything actually. But now, as I said, the correction potential is also high. We're slowly getting into the overbought zone here. So for now, I'd be careful there as well. Caspar. Let's take a closer look at Caspar. We had two big green dots down here, meaning a possible bottoming out, right? If you'd done a DCA here or an entry, it definitely wouldn't have been that bad, right? Up almost 30%, 27%. Exactly, but with Caspar 2, we're slowly hitting the overbought zone up here. I'd be careful for now. If everything goes back down and we form a big green dot here, then I personally see an exciting DCA entry. If that happens, right, best get the indicator yourself or join the 10x Insiders for free. Internet Computer. With Internet Computer, interesting stuff. we had a big red dot today, right? So a possible top formation, not confirmed yet, but extremely dangerous right now. Down here too, you can see we're in the overbought zone, so I'd be careful with internet computer for the time being. Supra here, right? Big green dot. Down here we were bottoming out, possible bottoming, but now we've formed a small red dot. Bearish, possible trend reversal. Target zone goes down to minus 13.7%. You see it here? Right, so I'd be careful for now. Similar story here again. If it's down in this zone, then for me personally, it's an exciting DCA zone. Cardano was actually showing some relatively strong resilience after the bad news we saw here. We had a possible bottoming out phase right here, and then we saw a rally of almost 83%. So you can see, if you really want to keep a close eye on the chart, right? If you think about it, if you take it away like that, you just don't know where to start or where to stop, which makes it very difficult to analyze. With this, you have a better orientation. But here too, getting into the overbought zone, I'd be careful. VeChain. Yes, looking at VeChain, right, we see a small green dot here, followed by a massive increase. And here too, though, we are getting back into the overbought zone. So I would be careful for now. If we go down here, then it really gets exciting, right? Then it gets exciting. Right now, rather dangerous. Then Alchemy Chain. Yeah, Alchemy Chain is, in my view, moving quite strangely because we're almost always in this middle range. Never really any breakouts to the very top or the very bottom. It is relatively hard to trade right now, but here too, as I said, there is really nothing exciting happening at the moment. We see a slight increase here, but there is also some danger now. Veracity, right, here too, has actually had a relatively strong increase. You have to be careful with Veracity, to be honest. I made a video about whether Veracity is dead. You can watch it up here. It's actually quite interesting. Here's a quick update covering the news from the past 30 days or so for Veracity. We had up here, as you see, we're in the overbought zone. Risk for an extreme correction is present. I'd be careful right now. Chainlink. Viewers requested it, so I've included it. Chainlink, as you see, massively overbought, right? You see we're right at the top here. We've also formed a big red dot now, careful, but it's not confirmed yet. Still, extreme correction risk. I'd be very careful now. If we happen to get down here at some point, then for me, whether it is for DCA or trading, a long trade for example, it would be extremely exciting. Right now though, I would honestly suggest being very, very careful. You can see, this is also cool down here, you see immediately where we stand in the market. Up here is basically for me, okay, I'm not trading. Unless I'm doing leverage trading and I'm going short, then up here it gets exciting again if you're looking for a good short entry. Kronos also may be quite exciting, right? There, the 10x indicator formed a big green dot down here, a possible local bottoming out, right? You can see it here. And after that, a massive increase. Even now, Kronos hasn't performed that strongly yet. You can see there's still room to grow. But as always, when Bitcoin goes down, altcoins go down too. That's why I'd be just as careful here right now. Then Render, also exciting, right? This is actually an older, more established altcoin. Render had a bottoming out here, as you can see, followed by a massive increase. But in comparison, if we take a look at that, you can see it was actually around here. It's 32%. For an altcoin, well, compared to other altcoins, the increase wasn't that extreme yet. Now too, we see it, we're entering the overbought zone, where I'd also be careful right now. Down here, it gets more exciting. Ondo. Ondo, by the way, if you don't know about Ondo yet, I really recommend it. It's a key part of the real-world asset narrative, which is honestly very exciting. I'll link a video for you up here about it. Right, you shouldn't miss it. Ondo had a possible bottoming out here through the 10x indicator, or by the way, a possible top formation, and then an increase. Now, right, so the volatility of Ondo is extreme. If you think about it, a massive increase within one day, then an extreme sell-off again. So I'd really be very, very careful with Ondo right now too. That's it so far for the chart analyses. If you don't want to miss anything, then subscribe to my channel now, because every Sunday I do chart analyses just like this, and also write in the comments which altcoins you're still interested in. Then I'll definitely include them for Sunday or also for future news videos. Thanks for watching. Now I'll link another video here that I made recently, and then I'll see you in a bit.